Okay. When we think America, the United States, this country, there's a lot of terms that are used to describe this place that we call home. Some are positive, some not so much. But one thing that is true time and time again is this one specific word: capitalism. What's capitalism, you ask? Think of it like this. In the world of evolution and science and so on and all those studies, frequently they talk about the survival of the fittest. The strong survive, meaning if you are not the strongest, if you're not the alpha, then in reality, society, or in this case, the animal world, you will collapse, you will die, you will be crushed, you will end, right? So take that notion and apply it to business when dealing with humans. Walleye fish and chips, capitalism. The idea of capitalism is you have the inherent right to try to make it be successful. Make your own business, be successful, be awesome. If you get rich off of it, fantastic. If you fail miserably, no one's coming to pick you up. That's the risk that you take with capitalism. You can either be very successful or you can fail miserably. The reality is, no one's really going to be there to help you one way or another. That's kind of the lure of it. It's a greed thing. I don't have to share my expertise with anybody else. I'm doing this on my own, right? We see this through like Twitter, Facebook, Amazon. Those are all businesses started in the United States, an entrepreneurship mindset, if you will, that really embrace the idea of capitalism. Google is capitalism. Apple is capitalism. Those iPhones, capitalism. You live and breathe this every single day. That $5 cup of coffee that somebody's drinking, capitalism. Those shoes that say Jordans on them that we really know aren't really that high tech and really haven't been put together with that great of material, but you're going to spend a nice buck or so to buy it, capitalism. Right? Everything has a price, and I can have whatever I want. Some see it as ruthless, some see it as cold-hearted, but that's also the world that we live in the United States, because at the micro scale, it seems a little cold-hearted to be like, I'm going to get this, and if I don't get this, then forget you. But on the grand scale of a national level, we start seeing this mindset is why the United States does so well in business. Note, I didn't say morals, business. Because in business, we don't have to answer to anybody else. We go, we seek, we conquer, we destroy, we make it our own. We've been doing that since our beginning, really. So why am I telling you all this? Because a lot of times in American history, we tend to look at our business models, our economy, this idea of capitalism, and we tend to want to pat ourselves on the back a little bit. Man, put the nose to the grindstone, I worked countless hours, I got dirty, my hands got calloused, but by golly, the business is booming and I really made it, right? You've read those stories. You've heard of those people, the ones who work tirelessly to make ends meet, to finally strike it rich, right? That's the joy. That's almost the facade of capitalism. In the United States, it is essential that when we look at our economic model, capitalism, that we see it through multiple lenses. The American get-rich story is a famous fable. It's very common to hear the story and the notion of like, I worked hard, therefore I get this. But a lot of narratives leave out the fact that other people were there before you to get the ball rolling. That brings us to today and what you're looking at. The second middle passage, which is a very unique terming of words. It took me several years to really figure out what this is talking about. So, the second middle passage, we need to go back to the first middle passage. Yes, there's a first one. The middle passage was referred to as the slave trade across the Atlantic Ocean. Okay, so individuals being captured and sold into slavery from the coasts of the continent of Africa, and then being delivered into the Caribbean and eventually into North America. This line, this stream, literally, this stream of boats moving back and forth, that was referred to as the Middle Passage. It's a passageway for business or slave trade between those two continents, right? That was in the 1600s, give or take, maybe a little earlier than that. But the second Middle Passage takes place in the root of the 1800s in the United States. This is one of the defining moments, that separates the United States from the rest of the world when it comes to looking at slavery. And no, this is not in a good way. The United States, embracing the idea of capitalism, said not only can we do slave trade, but we can do it better, we can make more money off of it, and we can ensure that we are all wealthy by the end, right? The Second Middle Passage. The Second Middle Passage was really not a time in which slaves were traveled between countries. Really, it was slaves being traded between the states, inside the United States. So understand, there's a lot of things going on in this moment in U.S. history. We have the Louisiana Purchase that we just acquired. Texas just became a state in the United States after we saved them from a war. And that war that we were involved in, the Mexican-American War, we also got more territory from that, which is really kind of the Southwest today. So think Arizona, New Mexico, that territory area. We got that in return for, in a roundabout way, winning that battle. So the United States has this massive land explosion. Like, we have land everywhere. We've also removed all the Native Americans from the Southeast. We've moved them to Oklahoma in the Indian Removal Act. We just discussed that as well. So now that we've got things organized, it's time to make some money off of it. At this time, clothes were not the comfiest things around. I'm wearing sweats today. This makes me happy. There were not sweatpants in the 1800s. A lot of sadness. However, you know what you needed to make good clothes with? Yes, you're right. Cotton. And do you know one of the most fertile places in the world to grow cotton? If your answer was the United States, you are correct. Yes, one of the most hostile land areas in the planet is also one of the most fertile when it comes to specific crops. Here's the thing about cotton, though. When you plant cotton and you harvest cotton, you have to pick it. Like, think hand, pick it. And when you pull it off the bush, there's all these little seeds that you have to pick out of that cotton before you can use it. That's tedious, right? It's time consuming. Well, Eli Whitney, this old person in history, invented what was called the cotton gin, and we marvel at this. Historians are like, oh my gosh, it's a revolution of industry, an industrial revolution. So the cotton gin was this device you'd put the cotton in and you'd like take a hand, kind of like the handle and just go back and forth, and what it would do is it would comb out the cotton, and when it was pulling the cotton apart, it was taking those seeds out. So now instead of a person having to sit there and pull out every single tiny little seed, now a machine did it for you, right? Makes life a lot easier and a lot faster. So if it makes it faster, that means I can do what? I can get more cotton, correct. Which means if I'm getting more cotton and I'm cleaning more cotton, I can sell cotton quicker to the textile factories that are going to make it into clothes. Okay? All right. But here's the kicker. Cotton is a labor-intensive crop, meaning you have to do a lot of manual work to get the freaking cotton. Now imagine if you have 200 people at your place charging $200 an hour to pick cotton for 8 hours a day. Okay, so 200 people, multiply that by $20 an hour, all right, so we're at 4,000. Take 4,000, multiply it by how many hours did I say? 8. Let's go with 8. 8. So 4,000 multiplied by 8, that gives us 32,000, right? So that would mean an individual, a group of people would be being paid $32,000 a day to pick cotton, right? Hey, money. But the person paying the money for all this had a different idea. What if I just didn't pay anyone? See, that's where the U.S. becomes so different. Because the U.S. not only saw slavery as this option of like, oh yeah, we can have them do work and not have to give them anything. We're not threatening to fire them. We're not threatening to take their wages. No, we're threatening to whip them or kill them if they don't abide by what we're saying, right? Knowing that there was this large mass of individuals that could be used as forced labor without having to pay for it was enticing for everybody involved in the cotton industry in the United States. Right? And everyone doesn't just mean the plantation owners. It means the folks running the factories too. So, in a matter of time, what you see is the United States becomes this mecca, this capital We're like the kings of cotton. Literally, that's what we were referred to. Because we had the majority of the world's cotton being produced was right here in the United States, and we're shipping it throughout the world and making money off of it, right? And we're making money off the cotton, but we're not having to pay anybody to get the cotton for us out of the fields. Right. Is this a quick way to get rich? Yeah, absolutely. People become millionaires overnight because of cotton? Absolutely. So not only did we figure out slave trade that had been going on for hundreds of years prior, we figured out how to take it and make money off of it as well. Slave trade, arguably in the United States, especially in the Second Middle Passage, by some historians is referred to as the first big business of the United States. It wasn't tobacco, it wasn't cotton, it wasn't electricity, it definitely wasn't computers. It was slavery. It was buying and selling. It was looking at a person, a human, fixing a financial value to them, a number sign, and trading them like stocks. Let that image sit in your head for a second. The idea of looking at an individual and declaring that they're not even worthy of being called a human, and then also being told they're worth this much. I've been teaching history for a while now. It's still hard for me to contemplate that, to imagine that, and to normalize it as well. So the Second Middle Passage gives us an image of who the United States is at this moment. What we see is that we, the American body, we are a group of people who will legitimately do anything and everything to hold power over everyone else. And in doing so, we establish a reputation in the sake of, we found a way to make slavery a big business, to make millionaires off of trading other people's lives. We split up families that had been united for years, generations, and scattered them across the United States to the highest bidder. Many Black Americans cannot trace back their ancestry because of moments like the Second Middle Passage, because their families were split apart by the person with the most money. So imagine what took place with the Indians in the Indian Removal Act. Now amplify that tenfold. Many historians would argue, and agree actually, that the Second Middle Passage was the largest forced migration of any person in the history of the United States. It's kind of sobering when you start really thinking about it. The audacity of looking at someone and saying that you will move or I will kill you. That's terrifying. That gives you like a knot in the pit of your stomach. So, when we look through the Second Middle Passage, it's essential that we realize, that we recognize the world we have today, the business model that we have today inside the United States, all these major businesses, and it can range from Google to Starbucks to Wall Street to McDonald's to Nike and beyond. It's not saying that every company holds dear to the idea of slavery. Would dare not say that. But it is essential for us to recognize our style of business, our style of economy, how we function now in 2021. Our business style can be traced back all the way to the Second Middle Passage. Did the United States develop capitalism? Arguably, to an extent, yes. We're not the only place to use the economic form of capitalism, but I'm pretty sure we're the only ones to say that we create an economic system based on the trading and selling of individuals. Scary. So, as you continue through this section, or these thoughts, depending on how you got to this video, consider this. What would it be like in the modern day, in 2021 in the United States, had slavery not existed? And here's the hard question about that, and this is what people battle with inside their minds. Inherently, so many people, if not everyone, would say, oh my gosh, if we could have gotten rid of slavery, it would have been amazing, right? And I agree, and it makes sense, but I also wonder this. If slavery was the building block of our economic system, and that building block was never put in, all those luxuries that so many people have today, would they have ever existed? Now, how comfortable are you with rewriting history? That's a scary thought. It's like the human mind gets stuck between two things. They get stuck between the, I know inherently morally this is wrong and this should never take place. But at the same time, if my comforts are taken away, how passionate really am I about another person's life? Welcome to humanity. It's really one of the big questions. So, a lot to chew on today. It's a pretty lengthy one. Yeah. What would your world look like differently? And how has your viewpoint on our own economic system changed? There's a lot to explore and a lot to share. Good luck.